Ratings, people. We're going to start off with Vicario. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. I actually think he did really well up until that disastrous moment at the end. Made top save. The one from Mavropanos was a world-class save. And he was keeping us in the game at times. So people forget that when they actually see that mistake towards the end. But you can't be that weak from a corner. You definitely can't. And, you know, he was a reason why we did lose the game, unfortunately. But look, the fans have given him 3.6.
Yeah, they're not happy with him.
And that is solely just based on that one moment.
It is, but unfortunately, it's not just that one moment, is it? He's made quite a few mistakes now this season.
True, but when you're rating him for a game, this is a match rating. This is not like a season or a career rating, you know what I mean?
I hear that. That's true, but in terms of why they're frustrated with him, no, you're right, the 3.6 is for one mistake, but in terms of why fans are frustrated in general about him, it's he has now, if there's a catalogue, you've got to say, that if you get a compilation of his mistakes, it's quite extensive at this point. Forest away, Fulham away, Brighton away. Fulham at home. He's building up quite a collection of errors, which is unfortunate. And I don't think it was the case in his first 2 years. But this season, he's kind of really become error prone, if we're being honest. And that's another one to add to the list.
Yep, and it's another position that Spurs need upgrading on. That's the reality right now. So that's Vicario. Let's move on and go to Pedro Porro. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. I thought he was one of the only ones actually trying to press the issue to West Ham. I thought he was spamming in those crosses. Unbelievable cross for Romero as well, which did level up the game. I thought in the goal that we did concede, he has to get a lot closer to Somerville. He has to try and stop that. He was miles off it. And he made an unbelievable block right in the last few minutes to save a goal going in. So I actually think he did probably more good than bad in the game yesterday, but still nothing great.
Yeah, I feel bad for him because the whole game plan seems to revolve around him, like crossing the ball in. And he's basically spamming crosses into basically one or two players in the box. And he did get an assist with a beautiful ball to Romero. But we need to start supporting him a bit more. We need to be getting more players in the box to help him. And early on, it was clearly a game plan as well. Get the ball to Porro, get him playing over the top to Odobert and Muani. And he played a couple of nice passes, but it was too few and far between from that point of view. And he of his 24 crosses, by the way, yes, 24, only 6 were accurate. And I think that goes to tell the story of his game, in my opinion. Spamming those crosses kind of with a probability, if you spam enough, one of them's going to land. And one of them did, but not enough of them did. And that's what led to Tottenham being just so poor in the final third. And defensively, as you say, Somerville was given a hell of a ride yesterday, and that was a big problem.
Yeah.
4.9 yesterday. I gave a 5.
Closer to yours than mine, that's for sure. Next up is Romero. 6 all round for Kuti. Just before West Ham scored, he did one of those aimless balls down the line, which went straight to West Ham, and there was a massive groan in the Spurs stadium when that happened, because we've seen that so many times this year with Romero. And look, I get it, because he's the only one in that back line. Well, we've got Porro there, but in terms of the centre-backs that can play those kind of balls into the midfield, that can set us up on attack, those progressive passes, one of the only few players that look capable of doing so. In the first half, I thought he was being given the run around a little bit. In the second half, I thought he improved, and he was putting in those challenges and helping kind of sustain pressure in West Ham's half a little bit. Obviously, went up front, grabbed that goal, as we've seen him do many times this season, but it wasn't enough. And I think we need better from our captain from the off. It can't just be once we're losing in the second half, you see him start to perform and show a bit of leadership ability. We need it all the time.
So he should go up front all the time.
No, he needs to be showing more work rate and effort levels all the time.
Yeah, I think he had a pretty good game. But, the first half, it wasn't... Yeah, it was a bit sloppy again from Kuti. Again, he's trying things. I think a lot of the problems stem from the team in general. But look, he is being sloppy. There's no two ways about it. He's displaying some monstrous numbers in the air, by the way. This against Bournemouth, it was 12 out of 13 aerial duels won. In this game, it was 9 out of 11 he won. So he's really starting to get really dominant in the air. He's such a threat from set pieces. Obviously, he got his goal as well. But it shouldn't need for him to take that responsibility when it comes to getting in the opposition box for us to look threatening. I think it's so telling that that's the most dangerous we look when Romero's in the box. It's absolutely ridiculous, but he put in some very strong challenges in that second half, which we needed at the time, and allowed us to dominate, allowed us to pen West Ham in. He also did go down with what looked like a nasty kind of fall in that second half. He did get back up, but he didn't seem kind of the same after that. There was one moment near the end of the game he was struggling to get back, which got West Ham.
If he's injured, oh my!
I don't know if he's injured, but he didn't seem comfortable at the end. But he did talk to the media. Very rare appearance from Romero talking.
Perfect English as well.
Yeah, he called it a disaster result, which I don't think anyone can disagree with. But yeah, I mean, Romero, it was nice to hear from him. But look, I thought he had a good game in general, but not his best.
Yeah. Mickey van der Ven up next. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. Look, he made a couple of unbelievable challenges in the game, and him and Romero in that second half did so well to bat off the opposition and try and swing the game in our favour. But yeah, at the end of the day, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I think he had a solid game. People are starting to get a bit frustrated with him for some reason. They're saying he's also, is he looking to leave, that kind of stuff? Is he?
It looks that way.
Is he playing at his best?
He just looks so frustrated, man, and I don't blame him.
And also, by the way, he's starting to make more and more last-ditch challenges, where at the beginning of the season it wasn't as much. But now it seems like in recent weeks he's having to make more and more last-ditch challenges for one reason or another.
You're saying his hamstring's about to go.
I hope not. But he was also a player who's playing a hell of a lot, isn't he? He's playing every 3 days. He's never getting a rest.
Well, he's not going to play on Tuesday, that's for sure.
He's not going to play on Tuesday, which is true, which is maybe good for him. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with him, but I think if it wasn't for him, it would have been a lot worse. And again, similar to Romero, he was flying into challenges in that second half. He also ended up getting booked. But yeah, wasn't his best.
He's one hell of a player, Mickey van der Ven, and I'm starting to really fear that he's going to massively push for a move this summer. And I wouldn't blame him, to be honest. I don't think anyone can blame him with the state of the football club. But it's going to be detrimental to us if Mickey van der Ven wants to leave. You're already seeing him massively frustrated. You're seeing him distraught after games. You're seeing him clash with fans at the end of the Bournemouth game. It's not looking good, to be honest. It really isn't. Yep.
I think the signs are there. He's doing interviews and stuff to, people are saying, is that to lay the groundwork for a move? He's cutting a frustrated figure. There's going to be big clubs after him. Not looking good. He's not signing on track. Signs are there.
5.5 the fans gave him. So, yeah. Ben Davies, 6s all round for Ben. Obviously only lasted 15 minutes, got injured, and it looked like a really bad one. Don't think we're going to be seeing him in a Spurs shirt again. So, yeah, I just want to thank him for his service to the football club. Not much to mention in the game.
Yeah. He actually got booked with the challenge that has injured him, which is ironic. But, yeah, I feel for him. I really hope his injury's not too bad, or I hope he has managed to make that with the World Cup in the summer. But, yeah, it's awful for him to suffer such a bad injury. And, yeah, hope probably is the last we've seen of Ben Davies, and wish him all the best.
Fans have given him a 3.4. I think they've done him dirty there. Very dirty. Next up is Archie Gray. 5s all round for Archie. I thought, look, he put in a couple of nice challenges. But yeah, I thought he was chasing shadows pretty much the majority of that first half. Got taken off at half-time, which seemed to be an injury. But he didn't really seem at the races too much.
Yeah, I thought off the ball he was off the pace. But I thought on the ball he was actually all right. There's a couple of times he did some really good ball carrying from the centre. He actually played this one lovely kind of through ball to Xavi, who found him in a pocket of space, which we just don't do anywhere near enough. And I don't know if I call it a through ball because we don't do those, maybe a progressive pass. But I thought there was some good stuff on the ball, but off the ball he was getting exposed. Somerville breezing past him like he wasn't there. He was getting a bit bullied by Souček as well. Wasn't so great off the ball, so marked him down. But yeah, it looks like he's picked up a knock.
4.1 the fans have given him. Pretty fair, to be honest. Conor Gallagher, Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. Went down with a head injury after 15 seconds, which is just so typical Tottenham Hotspur. Never missed a game through injury, and he's down injured within 15 seconds of his debut. However, I don't think he impacted much going forward. Could have bought us a penalty with that handball at the byline. He put in a couple of challenges, running around. pretty aimlessly for most of the game. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't too impressed with his debut.
Yeah, it's similar to what we'd heard about him in terms of his best work happening in the final third. I did think that happened yesterday. I thought when he was in the middle third, he kind of struggled to really get his foot on the ball, set the tempo of the game or anything like that, which we know is not really his game. But I thought once he was getting the ball in the final third, he looked a bit dangerous. When he was getting the ball in the box, there was a couple of times he took the ball past the player, was putting the ball in the box, trying to make things happen. I felt like when he got in the box, he was causing a bit of chaos. But outside of the box, I think he really struggled to impact the game properly. And
chaos, but no real quality.
Yeah, he was just giving the ball away a bit. His passing qualities isn't fantastic, although he does pass the ball forward a bit more than maybe some of our other players. He was definitely putting himself about, made some fouls, and he was definitely put a lot of energy into the game, but wasn't a great debut, I'd say.
Fans have given him a 4.9. Close to me this time. I think maybe your rating might have been a bit generous for his debut. But next up is Javi Simmons. 4s all round for Javi. And I was getting so frustrated with him in the first half because he was finding himself in actually good positions, which he got himself into. But his end product was just so frustrating. His passing was terrible. And every time it looked like Spurs were onto a decent thing, it kind of broke down. And yeah, it was his end product a lot of times that got me so frustrated. But in the second half, I thought he came alive a little bit more, but still not really much to take from the game.
Yeah, though, he did get himself in some good positions, and there was definitely one moment in the first half he had an opportunity to play an Odobert and he just underhit it. Then he had another opportunity to play an Odobert in the second half and he overhit it. The weight of pass just wasn't good at all. And look, there was a couple of moments he picks the ball up and he's looking like he's going to be dangerous. He tricks past a few players and he gets towards the box, and then there's a severe lack of quality. There was also a moment in the first half, Spence plays it into him. He's expecting a bounce pass and he just plays it straight out of play. It was very, very frustrating. But he also had some good moments. He had a nice shot in the second half, which on the chest and volley, which Areola forced a good save. He was whipping the ball into the box a few times and he was trying to make something happen. I also felt like once he moved out to the left wing, he was completely nullified, and I don't understand that switch. He was terrible once he moved to the left. But yeah, not a great game overall.
Wilson Odobert up next, 4s all round for Wilson, and just failed to make too much of an impact. There were kind of moments in the game where he threatened to make an impact, but all in all, I think it was pretty ineffective.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty bad, to be honest. I thought I gave him a 3, but I have given him a 4, so fair enough. I have to stick with that. But yeah, he was pretty poor. I don't remember much he did throughout the game, to be honest. He was pretty anonymous. Wasn't impressive at all. I don't think he's great on the right, but he's probably better on the right than maybe any other player we have, so I get why he's playing there. But he looks uncomfortable there for me.
Yeah, fans have given him a 3.5. So that's where Wilson Odobert's at this moment in time. Matisse Tell, Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. I mean, it looked like if anything was going to happen, it was going to come through him. He was definitely our strongest player in the forward line yesterday. Got taken off to massive boos from the Spurs faithful in the stadium yesterday, and I can completely understand why, because how is Muani and Odobert staying on the pitch at that moment in time and Tell going off, I think, is beggars belief. He had a couple of moments, but still, it wasn't a strong performance from him by any stretch of the imagination, but it just shows how bad the other players actually were.
Yeah, I think maybe a 6 is a bit generous, but I think he was the one trying. He was the one getting in dangerous positions on the left-hand side, taking people on. He created a chance for Odobert, who should have scored. He had a nice effort where he cut inside and shot and went just wide. That was not far off. There were some nice moments from him, for Tell, but yeah, I didn't understand the decision from Thomas Frank to take him off when there's more underperforming players on that pitch yesterday for me. So that was frustrating, and you could see his frustration as well with it. And it's something that obviously there's been reports about him complaining, hasn't there, about playing time or right position, all this kind of stuff, and that's not going to improve that, taking off early.
So the fans give him a 4.9, so a bit lower than what we've given him. Kolo Muani, 3s all round for Kolo. I don't even know what he's got this 3 for, to be honest. He was an absolute ghost on the pitch yesterday. He was absolutely shocking. I don't remember one thing that he did or many touches. How many touches did he even have of the ball yesterday? Because I can't remember too many that he had. And just absolutely shocking. Look at that. The fans are giving him a 1.6.
1.6, wow. Yeah, to be honest, 3 is probably quite generous. To be honest, I don't think he was good at all.
He just looks like he doesn't want to be there. Like, what are you here for?
When he went up front with Solanke, there's a couple of times where he could have played Solanke and he just overhit the pass, and maybe Solanke wasn't fresh enough anyway, but he was just terrible. There was one good moment I remember in the first half where he flicked the ball over one of the West Ham players' head and got it over, and then he mishit the pass. Just a lack of quality. Seems disinterested. I think at this point maybe he's looking around and thinking, what the hell am I doing here? And maybe he's already thinking about the next step. I don't know.
Yeah, it just looks like a player that just doesn't want to be here. That's the reality. And when you've got a loan player that doesn't want to be there, you may as well just cut the loan short. You know what I mean? Jed Spence, who came on after 15 minutes, Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 6. I mean, I don't even know why I gave him a 6, to be honest. He didn't really do much. I think he was, quite astute defensively, but very wasteful in possession. Just didn't do much again.
Yeah, I think his crossing is so bad. He gets so many opportunities to whip it in, and it's never accurate. It's always overhit, floats over the back post, usually for a goal kick. His final end product was woeful. To be fair, I thought he dealt with Bowen fairly well for most of it.
I thought Spence should have started the game yesterday, because if anyone's going to handle Bowen, surely it's Jed.
Yeah, although Bowen did get a few moments to get inside, but most of the time I thought Spence handled him. But yeah, going forward, it's just woeful, man. He just offers very little.
Yeah. Yves Bissouma, surprise sub from him to come on at half-time, and I was thinking Frank must be under pressure if he's bringing on Bissouma at half-time, and Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. I was pleasantly surprised with what I saw from Yves. He was putting himself about. He was testing the goalkeeper. He looked like the brightest spark on the pitch for Spurs. So, I guess Spurs got to persist with him. Well, we can't use him in the Champions League, but I would start him probably at Burnley.
I think at this point, beggars can't be choosers. I think he played well. He came on. I think he gave us a better platform to kind of dominate West Ham rather than what Gray was offering off the ball. I think he was hunting down their centre mids. He was physically dominating them, winning the ball back in good positions, and then just keeping things simple. And also, he was one of our closest routes to goal. Had a couple of efforts which Areola had to save.
Yeah, one good one that hit the top of the stands.
One that hit the top. I think he had 2. Did he not have 2? 2 on target.
Maybe.
I think he had 2 on target and one on the top of the stands. And I think he was also quite progressive with his passing compared to a lot of the other players. And I think if only he was consistent, and if only he wasn't late all the time and doing balloons or whatever, he'd probably start him week in, week out right now. Yeah. But unfortunately, those things are all not true. So all things are true, sorry. So it is what it is with him, but we could do with a player like him right now, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we got him. But he was just consistently winning the ball back for us in the middle of the park as well, and just sustaining that pressure that we had on West Ham in the second half. So, yeah, look, to be out in the cold all season and to come in at half-time in the situation that he came in and the performance that he did, you got to give him credit. So, well done to Biss for the second half showing that he did. 6.1 from the fans. Yeah. So a decent rating for him. Dom Solanke, he came on with, half an hour to go, 4s all round. I mean, he looked off the pace, to be honest, when he came on, and failed to make any sort of impact. I felt like he didn't really have the legs.
Yeah, he looked completely rusty, let's be honest. I thought he looked better against Villa when he came on, to be honest, but he looked rusty on the day, and couldn't really impact the game at all. Didn't have any opportunity to score. There was one moment where Muani plays a pass to him and he just was trying to run onto it, and he just couldn't. He just didn't have the legs for it, even though he's only on for half an hour. So yeah, we just need him up to speed as soon as possible because he was looking rusty.
Yeah, which is understandable with how long he's been out injured for. That's the reality. Now, to Thomas Frank. Sim gives him a 1. I gave him a 2. I think he managed this game horribly, to be honest. Starting lineup, obviously I thought he should have gone with Spence at left back instead of Ben Davies, but I don't have too many problem with it because Ben Davies has been playing all right recently. It's just the way we were set up and the confidence that he's breeding into his players right now. Letting West Ham dominate us to the level that they did was absolutely disgraceful. One of the most disgraceful 45 minutes I've seen of Tottenham Hotspur, and I've seen some really disgraceful ones. To let a West Ham team of this quality dominate us is just embarrassing. Moving on to the second half, he brings on Bissouma, which was a good sub, obviously, and he did well, and it looked like the momentum was shifting in our favour. We got that goal, and after the goal and making more changes, like the momentum just completely swayed off us. He made some weird tactical changes. He takes off Tell and leaves Muani on the pitch because he wanted to have two strikers on the pitch. Well, when Tell says his best position is in the number 9, so why not put Tell in the number 9 and take Muani off and bring on Solanke as well? So I just don't get some of the method behind his thinking, and I think the game management was absolutely abysmal yesterday, and he was a big reason, or maybe even the sole reason why we lost the game. And you can't get dominated against this West Ham team at home. It's just, there's no other words to it than embarrassing. That's the reality, and that's got to be his last game managing Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, I think yesterday was a real new low point, and there's been a hell of a lot of lows this season, and somehow we found a new one yesterday. And I think Thomas Frank, the way he managed the game was absolutely pitiful. The way we came out at the start of the game, for the first 5 minutes we were looking like we were pressing them, then that again died down very quickly, and West Ham kind of took control unbelievably very quickly in that game, and we were just absolutely chasing shadows for that opening 45 minutes, lucky not to be 3-0 down. We then get back in the game because Romero decides to go walkabouts, and he's like, I'm going to take matters into my own hands and go up front. Again, is that even an instruction from Frank? Can we even give Frank credit for that? Because is Frank telling Romero to go up front, or is that Romero taking it into his own hands? And that's how we got our goal. So I can't even give him credit for the goal we scored, to be honest, apart from the fact it was one of the 24 crosses Porro whipped in, which I'm sure was an instruction from Frank. I can barely give him credit for the goal we scored. And then he makes subs after that, which completely nullified us. Went for a 4-2-2-2, Xavi off the left, Odobert on the right, who was completely ineffective, and taking Tell off, who was our best attacker, putting Solanke and Muani up front, who just couldn't do anything. And any sort of shape our team had completely fell apart. And didn't respond to any changes West Ham made, who got a second win late on, and they scored. And losing to a West Ham team who were winless in 10, after losing to a Bournemouth team who were winless in 11, after losing to a Forest team who had just lost 4 in a row, and I think 5 in 7, after losing to a Fulham team who hadn't won away from home all season, or won one game away from home all season before playing us. After all those things, it's just criminal, man. Absolutely criminal. And on top of that, the style of football we play. On top of that, what he says in press conferences, the excuses he makes. He's lucky to get one, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the sad indictment of the Spurs team right now. 2-1 loss against West Ham in our own backyard. That is that. Were there any more chats that came in?
I think a couple, yeah.
So this one was from